Gordon Cook is a two-time Canadian Olympic sailor. So he was a contestant for Olympics and he also represented the Canadian Yacht Club. The boat is 23 meter and 30-ton wooden hull and the boat is named as Wave Walker. Then they proved that it was a quite pleasant, that is the journey from West Coast to Cape Town was a pleasant journey. They did not have any problem. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to the Young Minds for the Prep School class. So what are we going to discuss today? Today I'll be going with the topic from the textbook Hornbill named as We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together. So what is there in today's agenda? Let's begin the session without wasting much of our time. Let's dive deep into the agenda for today's session. So what is there in today's session? Today we'll be learning about the author, the background or the theme and the summary or the synopsis. This is what we are going to discuss today about the chapter We Are Not Afraid to Die If We Can All Be Together. So now let's see about the author. So in this chapter there are two authors. One is Gordon Cook and the other one is Alan East. These are the two authors of this chapter. So Gordon Cook is a two-time Canadian Olympic sailor. So he was a contestant for Olympics and he also represented the Canadian Yacht Club, who Gordon Cook. And the next one is Alan East, who was a litigator, manager and legal trainer. So he put most of his interest towards the education system. He was the co-founder of the Multi-Academy Trust and Central Academics Trust. And his main aim, his main intention was to improve the standard in secondary education. So these are the two authors. One is Gordon Cook as well as Alan East. So now let's see the background of a story. What is the background of the story? So this is the story of extreme courage and skill exhibited by Gordon Cook, his family and crewmen in the war with water and waves for survival. So as I told in the introduction, this chapter is something adventurous. It is the fact that if people gather together, they can face any kind of dangerous situation. It is interesting to read how the family of the narrator duplicates around the world's voyage successfully. So this chapter is all about they are into a very dangerous situation, how they come out, how they save their life, how they are survival at the end. That is what we are going to learn in today's chapter. We are not afraid to die if we can all be together. So let's see the story, what's all about. So the beginning of the story. So what is the story or how is the story beginning? That is in July in the year 1976, the narrator and his wife Mary, son Jonathan, who is 6 years old, and daughter Suzanne, who is 7 years old, they set the sail from Plymouth. So this journey, so they have spent almost their leisure time for 16 years to set this voyage. And it was England to duplicate the world voyage made 200 years earlier by Captain James Cook. So it is just the replica of the voyage what they are doing right now. So how many years? It was 200 years old duplicate which the Captain James Cook had done. The same thing they are trying, that is the replica I told, the family, that is the narrator, the wife Mary and the two children Jonathan and Suzanne. They are into the traveling now. What happens next? For the voyage, they have been perfecting their seafaring skills. So here, they are getting their boat ready. Seafaring skills, it means to say, enhancing the art of traveling in the sea or traveling by the sea. So all the family, that is the complete family, is enhancing their traveling skills. Everything is set for the past 16 years. From past 16 years, they are just planning for it to start their journey. They have got professionally built 23 meter and 30-ton wooden hulled boat. So what is the boat all about? How the boat is? The boat is 23 meter and 30-ton wooden hull and the boat is named as Wave Walker. What is the name of the boat that the family have set? The name of the boat is wave walker. So this wave walker have been tested in the extreme condition also. If it is in a bad condition also, it can just run. That is what they had tested before they started their journey. What happens next? Let's see. So the initial period, that when they started their journey, that is 3 years journey from the west coast of Africa to Cape Town. They started their journey from the west coast of Africa to the Cape Town. The beginning of the journey was so very pleasant and it moved on very smoothly. They did not have any problem. It was very calm and silent, and they could reach the Cape Town very easily and without any difficulty. And after that, they were supposed to reach the southern Indian Ocean. So there they faced the problem. So then they proved that it was a quite pleasant, that is the journey from west coast to Cape Town was a pleasant journey. They did not have any problem. Next, before heading east, that is before moving towards the southern Indian Ocean, they employ 2 crewmen. So what do you mean by crewmen? Crewman is nothing but a person who will be inside the boat or the ship. So before heading towards the east to the southern Indian Ocean, they took 2 crewmen to help them to tackle the toughest weather condition journey. And the 2 crewmen who helped them were, namely, one is American Larry Wiggle and Swiss Herb Segler. These were the 2 crewmen who helped them to tackle their roughest weather in their journey. The next catastrophe. This was the first part of the journey. The first part of the journey was very smooth and it was very pleasant. They could reach the Cape Town very easily. The second part of the journey, what happens? The second part of the journey encounters strong winds and alarming of waves. The second part of journey was not easy when it was compared to the first journey. So here in the second part of the journey, you can see the strong gales coming, hitting them. The waves was too very high. It was not silent. It was not very quiet. It was very scary. The waves were very scary. So, despite the bad weather, the family celebrates Christmas in the boat. So, the second day of their journey was very bad. The weather condition was too very bad. It was scary. The winds which were blowing, it was to the height of the poles. You can see if it is a boat or a ship, a pole is there and a cloth is tied. It was reaching to that height. That fast, that scary was the wind on that particular day. In spite of that, they celebrated their Christmas because when did they celebrate? In the worst condition, the weather worst condition was also there. In spite of that, they also celebrated the Christmas also. And after the Christmas, it was their New Year. And during the time of the New Year also, there was no improvement in the weather condition. It followed the same. But it is something where they have to celebrate their festival. They try to celebrate their New Year as well as Christmas in the boat, in that too, the bad weather condition. That there was no sign of improvement in the weather condition on the second day. It was very bad. On the early morning of Jan 2nd, the family faces strong mighty waves. So that is after the Christmas, after the New Year on Jan 1st, that is on Jan 2nd, the condition of the waves was too very bad, extremely bad. So what happens here? The weather, that is the sea was rolling towards the boat and coming. The waves, that is the wind was blowing very badly. It was a continuous very bad wind was blowing. The people inside, that is the whole family is inside along with the crewmen. Everyone were so very scared. They did not know what to do. They carry out life raft drill and prepare themselves for the worst case scenario by donning life jackets and oilskins. So here the family was well set, all were set. They had their life jackets to save their life because the waves was like that and the sea water, that what happens during the waves, you can see the wave, that's the sea water rolls like a surf and comes. So the boat were just shaking that side and this side, and the people inside the boat, they were also moving one side or the other side. It was very scary and all the people were with their jackets and oilskins. They were prepared with their life jackets, and oilskins is nothing but the waterproof jackets. Everything they were set, all were ready to face the situation. Later in the evening, A perfectly vertical, huge, tremendous wave hits the deck of the boat, throwing the narrator off the boat. So what happens later? Every time it will be a vertical, but this time it was a horizontal. The wave was horizontal and the narrator was about to fall or sink inside the water, but he somehow managed and he got back inside the boat. The boat is just about to overturn when another huge wave comes and turns it right back. So when the narrator got back inside the boat, so after that what happens? Because of that bad wave, the boat was about to turn and sink inside the water. There was one more wave came and they turned it back to the normal position or the normal situation. If that wave had not come, the complete family would have died. He suffers injuries in his ribs and mouth. Who is suffering? The narrator. Because the narrator was thrown out of the boat and he managed just to come inside. When he was thrown out, he got hurt and there was a crack in his ribs and you could see the blood inside his mouth coming out and he was in a very bad condition. Here, fight for the survival. So the complete family is fighting for their survival to rescue them. How they are supposed to rescue? They are with their life jackets, they are with their waterproof jackets, everything they have it. But even then, the waves which were coming so very badly, they were not about to rescue themselves or save themselves. He instructs Mary to take the wheel. Why the narrator instructs his wife Mary to take the wheel? That is the wheel of the boat. Because this man, that is the narrator, was badly injured. He had a crack on his ribs. That is the reason he is telling his wife Mary to take the wheel. So after she takes the wheel, he just somehow manages to go inside and see his two children because they were with the two children. One is Jonathan and Suzanne. He just goes and sees Jonathan and Suzanne. Among them, Suzanne had got hurt and there was a bump on her head. But here the narrator just ignored her because he just wanted to save everyone's life. But the girl here, that is Suzanne, who had a bump on her head, she also did not tell anything to her father because the situation was too very bad and she didn't want them to get panicked. That is the reason she also kept quiet. He checks on the children in their cabin. Sue informs him about a bump on her head, to which he does not pay much attention. As I told, when she says that I got hurt on my head, there is a bump. Did the narrator say anything? Did he pay any attention? He did not pay any attention. His only thought, what was thinking? He was thinking only to save the people they wanted to survive. The hand pumps block due to the debris and the electric pump gets short circuited. So what happens? Because of the waves, the water from the sea was filling the boat. There was some holes inside the boat. So the water started filling inside the boat. So now what to do? They have to drain out the water. They started pumping out the water with the help of electric pumps. So they tried to manage, they tried to take out some water, but all of a sudden the motor got, that is the electric pump got repaired. And they had one more electric pump, but because of the electric circuit, they got, that also was spoiled. But there was another spare of electric pump with the narrator and he connects it out to the pipe in order to drain out the water. So he had one more spare of electric pump. It was connected and they later tried to drain out or pump out the water out of the boat. Somehow they are trying to save themselves, but the water is filling. They are trying to drain it out as soon as possible. For they Mayday calls are not answered as they are in a remote corner of the world. Mayday is nothing but it is a call given so that they can come and rescue them. The call is given but it is not connecting because the family is out of a remote corner world. They are out of the remote area, so their calls are not getting connected. No one is there to come and help them out or to rescue them from that bad situation. So what happens next? Suzanne's injury. It's about her injury. On being asked about her injuries, she replies to her father that she did not want to bother them when he was trying to save their life. So father is questioning, why didn't you say me about the injury, what you're having on your head, that she had a bump? She says, I didn't want to tell because you were in such a situation and you were thinking of to save everyone. So I didn't want, or it did not bother me to tell you. The family manages to survive for 15 hours. So in that bad condition, in that waves, and the water was filling inside the boat. They were just trying to drain it out. In that situation, they were there inside the boat for how many hours? They survived inside the boat for 15 hours. Then they decided to rest and work on rotation. So there was a little bit of change there, and whatever the water was inside the boat, everything they tried to drain it out. And after some time, they thought of taking a rest for some time, and it in a rotation versus. So if one stays, or if one is in the wheel, the other three will be rest. It's like a turn. They take it like a turn, and it was a rotation kind of a work for them. They thought of resting for some time because they have worked 15 hours to save their life continuously without any rest. So now they are too very tired. They wanted to have some rest. So they started to work on rotation. Desperation to reach the nearest island. They were so very desperate to go and rest or to go and reach one of the island so that they will be safe. They are safe from the danger. So where is the destination? How long it is? It is too very far. No one knows about the island because whatever the route they have taken, it is just diverted because of the bad weather condition. The wave had left Waywalker in a considerably bad state. Since it is not in a condition to make them reach Australia, they decide and hope to reach the nearest island, that is Isle Amsterdam, a French scientific base. So now, where are they supposed to go and reach? Their destination is to the Amsterdam Island. For this island, they have to go and reach, but the boat is not in that condition to go and reach this Amsterdam Island. Having found some corned beef and crackers, they ate their first meal in 2 days. All were too very hungry. 15 hours of work, which they tried to save their life by draining out the water. After that, it was a rotation. On rotation, they were working and they had their meal after 2 days. After 2 days, they are having their food. What they had? They had some corned beef and crackers. This is what they had. Whatever was there left out, they had these and they started their journey to Amsterdam Island. The weather starts changing for the worse, and by the morning of Jan 5th, was the weather improvement? No, it was changing. It was to the worst. That is on Jan 5th. Again, there was a bad condition. It was a worse condition in the weather. The narrator is left spellbound to see the fearlessness of his son Jonathan. So he just goes and asks his children, that is Suzanne and Jonathan. Suzanne already had a bump on her head, but what does Jonathan say? Jonathan says that we are not afraid to die if we all can be together. This one sentence or the word told by Jonathan, it gives an motivation and inspiration for the narrator, that is Gordon Cook. He gets motivated by the words of his son. He says, if all are together, when the whole family is together, we can survive from this situation and we can save our life. This is what told by Jonathan, who says that he does not fear death as long they are all together. That is what I told. He is not fear for death. Jonathan is not at all fear. The boat is shaking. They're moving from one side to another. Even then, Jonathan is not scared. He's not fear about it. He's not fear about his death also. He says, we are all together. So he says, we are not going to die. Struggle of the captain. With all the moral support that he receives from his children, he continues his effort. He got his support from his wife and the 2 children. Then he starts with his voyage, or he continues his voyage again. Waywalker sails through the storm. Sue gives him a greeting card expressing her love, gratitude and optimism. So he started his journey. They started their Waywalker journey through the bad condition. And Sue, that is the daughter, she gives a greeting card to her father and she's expressing her love, gratitude and optimism. She is very loving and caring about her father, and because her father is caring about everyone. He's not saying only about himself. He is trying to save each and everyone who are there in the boat. So she expresses her love, gratitude and optimism to her father. Though he's not convinced, but he instructed Larry to steer a course of 185 degrees, saying that if they are lucky, they can hope to find the island by the evening. He's telling Larry to turn the wheel towards 185 degree, and the narrator also says that if we are too very lucky, if we can save a life only with this. Just he asked him to turn the wheel to 185 degree, and he says that if we are so very lucky, we will go and reach the island, or else there is no question in surviving. So with the hope, they just stayed the wheeling and they are moving towards the island. And he says, by today evening, we have to reach the Amsterdam island. And they have turned the wheel to 185 degree. The best captain title. Who is giving this? That was the son. He gives him the best captain title. Fortunately, they sail and manage to find Isle Amsterdam by evening. So as I told, or the narrator told, if we are lucky, we will go and reach the island by today evening. And who is there? Larry is the one who has taken the wheel and has turned towards 185 degree. At last, by evening, they have reached the Amsterdam island. But here, when they have reached, the narrator was in a very deep sleep because they were working on a rotation basis. Jonathan calls him the best captain. So Jonathan is calling his father as the best captain because he has saved each and everyone's life from that disaster. And then the best daddy in the whole world. He not only says that he is the best captain, he also says his father is the best daddy in the world. Soon they get offshore and reach the island with the help of its inhabitants. So they have just gone and reached to the island, that is the Amsterdam island, with the help of some inhabitants. Stepping on the land after such turmoil, the narrator thoughts are filled with cheerful and optimistic Larry and her supportive Mary, a brave 7-year-old girl who did not want her parents to worry about her head injury, and a 6-year-old boy who was not afraid to die. So stepping towards the island, he is just telling it was the support of his wife, that is Mary, and the two crewmen, Larry and her Segler, along with his daughter and the son, Jonathan and Suzanne. Jonathan always says that he says that we are not afraid to die. And Suzanne, who got her head injury and there was a bump, even then she did not tell her father in the beginning, but later he got to know. With all these things, the father, that is the narrator, was successful in reaching the Amsterdam island. The narrator, they started their journey with the rotation, as I told. The narrator wasn't into his deep sleep. When he got up at 6 p.m., that is in the evening, he was shocked to see that they were landed in the Amsterdam island. So here it was a very toughest journey for them to save their life. That is, the wave walker was hit with the very bad waves which was coming continuously, and it was very scary. And here one of the inspiration was his son Jonathan, who always told him that we are not afraid to die if we can all be together. And the daughter, who had a bump on her head, even then he did not bother of it. Only the thing he had in his mind to save everyone's life. Later Suzanne had to go under a surgery because there was a blood clot on her head. Everything was removed and now they are fine. Coming to the end, it is just a duplicate voyage, and it was a replicate of this voyage done by the narrator and his family. So here the 7-year-old boy just motivated his father. He was one of the inspiration for his father, and the daughter who gave the greeting card, who showed her gratitude, her expression of love to her father, and she was very optimism. Both of them were ready to face any kind of consequences, and they were not feared about their death. Hope by this we are ending up the session. Have a good day. Thank you.